So if you're like any of the other several billion people on the planet, then you probably have a cell phone. And if you're a tech nerd, or maybe you're just a leading edge, you may have a smartwatch. Now, the problem with all of these things is they all have charge cables. And my two devices here you can see behind me are no exception. And it was actually driving me a little crazy. I had cables all over my desk and I thought, this is it. I'm going to fix this. So in this video, I'm actually solving my own problem, but it's a good simple project and you can cut this on a diode laser or a CO2 laser and you can solve this problem. And it's to make this phone stand back here. Now this phone stand also handles my smartwatch, and in this video I'll show you how to make it. So let's get going. Now I like things to be consistent, so I always start with the design, and in this case I just whipped this up in Inkscape, and it's a pretty simple layout. Now I fattened up all the lines here just so they're more visible on camera, but what I have is effectively two hinges, and you've heard me talk about living hinges in the past. What I did was use two of these. And what they do is form the bending points of my tripod phone mount here. And I created, this looks a little weird at the top here. This is an offset because I have my smartwatch on one side, on the right-hand side here in this case. The band kind of hangs down, and I didn't want to have this sticking out because what this does is when you fold up the stand, this becomes the ledge that your phone sits on. So beside it is just empty space, and you'll see that when I put it together. There's a little hole in the back to run the cables through, and then there's two holes for the chargers. In this case I'm using iPhone and Apple Watch chargers, but if you really, if you have another type of phone or another kind of watch, you should be able to modify this stand to suit. Maybe you just have it plug in the bottom, in which case maybe you put a hole here for your plug. Kind of finishing it off here is the slot that tab at the top fits in. So basically what you do is you bend at the top and you bend at the bottom, and then you slide it into the slot, and I'll show you how to put it together. Over on the side here I have just a couple of rings, and it's really the outside one and the inside ring that I care about. The one in the middle is really just waste, and then there's a rectangle here that gets cut out, and that makes a slot. And what those pieces do is they fit around the outside of these just to make them a little more robust, and then the slot matches the slot of this thing. And this is the same. They look like lollipops, but really these things get chopped out, and you get a circle with a little slot in the bottom of it. So that's the design, and it is pretty simple. Now I did quite a bit of work. I can show you a pile of refuse. I normally cut these things out in cardboard first to try them. There's quite a pile of cardboard over on the side here, and it was so that I could get this hinge correct, so that it's close enough together that it's really flexible but still strong enough. And the reason I wanted it that way is because I don't want to make this for my own. I don't want to make this out of wood, out of plywood. I want to make this out of acrylic. And you can actually see behind me when we go back to full frame here that there is an acrylic one sitting there. It's a prototype, but I just really wanted to prove that it works. So in this project you can use a diode laser, you can use a CO2 laser, you can use wood, 1/4" plywood or 3mm plywood, or you can use 3mm acrylic. So really flexible design, and I'll cut it out here and we'll start putting it together. All right, so I have my piece of wood that I cut for the stand, and you can see it's quite flexible. Be gentle on it though when you start, and The way I cut this was the top, this was where the laser was facing, and this is the bottom. So what I'm going to do is use this as the inside of the stand, and what I did just for extra support is I added these 2 extra rings, and they'll just sit like that. And rather than trying to glue or do anything, I just put some 3M tape on the back of them. You can glue them though. And all I'm going to do is peel that tape off. So I peeled the tape off, and now I'm just going to stick them right here, lined up with the hole in the base. And when I'm happy with it, I can just press it down. And same with the bigger one here. Okay. And last but not least is to assemble the stand. Now, before you just go cranking this thing, start gently bending it when it comes off the laser, just to make sure that all the joints are cut. But once you do that, you'll find that it's quite flexible. And press it on, and it will look like that. So I have my 2 chargers here. I have my base set up. And I'll start with the iPhone charger. And all I'm going to do is put it in the hole, and you can see I'm lining up the cable with the slot here. And this will be a pretty tight fit. Now, if it's too tight, you can just run a little sandpaper around the inside of the ring until you get a tight fit. And then you can take the cable and slide it through the hole in the back. And then we'll repeat this with the iPhone, or with my watch charger. And again, I'm pressing it in. It's a tight fit. And I wanted it to be tight so that I could take it out if I had to, if I'm traveling or something. But it's strong enough to stay in there so I don't have to glue it. And there you go. And you can just plug those into your charger. Now, I can't use my iPhone to show you here, but I'll leave it in a photo later, but I can show you my watch. And all you got to do is stick it on there, and you're ready to go. Same thing with the phone. All right, so there we go. You can see this was a really easy project to put together. You can literally make one of these in about 10 minutes of laser work. So it comes together very quickly, and it's super simple to put together. You really just have to fold a bunch of wood or acrylic into the right shape, and it will just fit together. There are those extra rings that you can put on the back, and again, I use 3M tape just because it's easy and it's instant, but you could also glue them if you want, and that just provides a little bit of extra strength to hold the chargers in. It may be optional if you don't want to have it, but I put it in just because I tend to abuse things. Now, I will put the design for this up on my website for members, and if you're not a member, it's $2.99 a month, and it gives you free access to all those designs. It also gives you much quicker access to me. I've become much busier over the last couple months, so sometimes it takes me longer to answer email, but if you're a member, I'll get to you much quicker. Now, if you don't want to become a member, which is fine, I will also put this design up on Etsy. Now, what I'm actually going to do is put a couple of designs up because there's 2 different sizes of iPhones, and some people may have a watch and some people may not have a watch. So if you want to have just a standalone phone charger without the watch charger, I'll put a design up for both of those as well, for both the iPhone Pro and the regular iPhone. And you can choose whatever design you want. Now, these designs are all SVG files, so you can modify them if you need to. Maybe you have a different kind of phone, or you have a different smartwatch and your charger's somehow different. You can modify this to this design to make that happen. Anyway, with that, we can wind down. As always, I'll put a couple of videos up above here. Go watch those, and I'll see you over there. And get out there and make your world, and I'll see you next time.